Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, let's go on and get started here. It's time for us to get motivated, inspiration, get some fire me up information, get a little gold nugget. You know, when you're going through your next trials and tribulation, you can use this to help you get through and pull forward. Hey, don't forget, pay it forward. Share it to someone else that can use the information to help them get through their next difficulty. Don't take it to the grave. It's not going to help anybody then. All right, today we're going to talk with Rick Hill today, that he is one of the longest living documented survivors of an advanced cancer without going through chemo or radiation. He did his treatments alternatively. Remember, my doctorate is not in medicine, so take this as what happened with him and how he did, but consult your physicians first. All right, thank you for coming in, Rick Hill.
Good to see you. I liked your intro.
Thank you. Thank you. We're done for today. Podcast's over.
Yeah.
The intro was the best one. All right. So I'm kidding. All right. We need to, so had a little cancer. Isn't it a shame that one word out there that scares to death is the word cancer? You know, my mom, she had lung cancer and she's survived. It's been 25 years now, but she did do the surgery and the chemo though, but from there, but she survived and she's been going through 25 years now from it. So
good deal. Yeah.
One word viewed as one word. Most people would probably say cancer. That scares them the most.
That and public speaking.
People, that's right. That's right.
People, and I was president of the Florida Speakers Association.
Okay.
And yes, I had cancer, so I tackled number one and number two.
That's right.
Right out of the block.
I'd imagine the first word would be, I guess it depends how spiritual, religious you are, your word hell would be. But for the ones that are not like that, I would think, like you said, the public speaking, getting out there, and the big C word.
Yeah, and the difficulty with both of those is that it's not a team sport. I mean, cancer comes a little closer because you have a doctor and you have people that are praying for you and you have, but with public speaking, they help me welcome all the way. And you are walking by yourself to that.
There you go. That's right.
So, and you can hem-haw around, but you better have a story or two.
You better hem-haw it in a good way. That's right.
Yeah.
So, hey, Rick, let's go and get started. You started into your part of life where you think's best for us to jump in.
Well, the year is 1974. That was a while ago, especially for you.
What them young folks say, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, my grandfather, Rick, my grandfather, he would go back in 1974.
Jeez.
That's how he would do it. So
it does seem like a long time ago to me. It was 51 years. I was the administrator for a Christian day school, had been married a year and a half. My wife was just expecting our first child. My life had a nice little bow on it, but real life is messy. I asked a seminary professor of mine if he could sum up theology in one short sentence. And he looked at me, he looked at the floor, and he said, real life is messy. And I said, that's your answer? He said, well, you're about to find out. You got 4 more years of studying this, and you'll find out.
Yeah.
So I went to a bunch of doctors, wound up at the Mayo Clinic. They did exploratory surgery on me because there were no scans back in the day.
Let me ask, what made you want to get checked out?
I had a tumor in my groin.
Okay.
So wasn't doing a lot of horseback riding back then.
Yeah.
And so I went in and one guy gave me a bunch of antibiotics. Another guy gave me this and gave me that. But finally, one doctor said, I think I'm sending you over to the Mayo Clinic. You're not that far away. I was living in New Ulm, Minnesota at the time. And so I got over there, drove over. They said, we want to do surgery right away because we think strong possibility you have cancer. So I went under the knife. It was 8 hours. And they found cancer up by my neck here.
Mm-hmm.
And they found cancer in my feet. All of it in the lymphatic system.
Yeah.
So it's a super highway. It's everywhere. And my major organ groups like liver, lungs, brain had not been affected yet. So it was still stage 3, high grade, because it was moving at such a clip that high grade embryonal cell carcinoma moves at light speed. And they told me another 2 months, every major organ group of your body will begin to shut down. I said, don't hold back. Tell me the real truth here. The doctor looked at me. He goes, well, we got to do something. And something was not clear because they knew, I think they knew the chemo wasn't going to help me. It was too far gone. So the chemotherapist said to me, you need to invite your family in to say goodbye. I said, boy, every conversation I have with you is bad news. I said, so I'm going to quit talking to you. He laughed and he said, I'm just here to tell you the truth. So here's where my life changed. Here's where I offer hope to your listeners. Here's where my trajectory went 180. Boom, gone. My old life was gone. A new life had begun. Usually it's a car accident or it's this or that. But for me,
a football injury.
Yeah, old football injury when you had a scholarship that you couldn't use.
Yeah. So,
hey,
Sunshine, thank you for coming in. All right, go ahead.
That's an inciting incident, is it not? Everything
knowing
that
everything's
moment
changing.
forward changed. You wouldn't have met me probably if you hadn't broken your neck.
That is amen positive. Probably I would have been doing something different. So, yes.
And, that's not a good thing for me to think about. I mean, I'm sorry you had to break your neck to meet me.
Oh, I hear you.
An inciting incident is that. It's something that every screenplay starts with. A woman stands on a ledge. Suddenly she jumps, or was she pushed? And why? And, okay, that's an inciting that you can take 90 minutes in to flesh out what happened to her. Well, for me, I opened the letter, and the letter, I took it out and it said, Dear Rick, if you want to live, you got to leave the Mayo Clinic. Yeah, it's from a Baptist pastor named John Ballantyne. I called him up. He had his number under the threaten. And I said, John, whatever you're smoking, send me some right away.
That's right.
Even though neither one of us use that. And he said, well, why would you think I'm smoking something? I said, because you told me to leave the Mayo Clinic. John, have you got a better place to go than the Mayo Clinic? He said, well, how you doing so far? I said, well, you must know how I'm doing so far to send me that letter. He said, look, Rick, a bunch of my parishioners have gone down to San Diego, partially true, and they've gone to a clinic where they use a food product. And in a month, these people are back with their cancer turned around. That's what I'm telling you. And I'd like to tell you about this. I said, well, that sounds kind of strange. I fly into San Diego and then what? Well, they pick you up at the San Diego airport and take you to Tijuana. I said, it gets worse by the second, doesn't it?
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, Tijuana. Okay. And Tijuana in the early 70s, a little different than even today. So I said, what are they going to give me down there? And he said, are you sitting down? I said, yeah, John, I'm sitting down. What? He said, well, it's a derivative of the apricot fruit. And they make an oil out of it and they inject it in your, IV. So let me get this straight. My chemotherapist has had my family come to town. We're having dinner tonight. You want me to tell them that I'm going to leave the most modern hospital in the world, go to TJ, and have ground up apricot oil injected in my veins.
Yeah.
I just want to see if I got the outline. That what you expect me to tell my family tonight? He says, well, it doesn't sound very good the way you explain it. I said, well, yeah, you think? So I said, well, I'm not going to argue with you, John, but I think this is a crazy story. But I do have an appointment at the Mayo Clinic today, and I will ask my chemotherapist and tell him what you said. He said, John said to me, good luck with that, pal.
Oh, yeah.
So let me fast forward and end this. I got to the Mayo Clinic. I sat down with the chemotherapist, told him the same story, expected to hear new swear words. Instead, word for word, he leans back in his chair and goes, Rick, it is warm in Tijuana this time of year.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay, message delivered. Thank you for your honesty. I stood up. I said, Doc, I don't know why you said that, but I'm glad you did. But I'll probably never see you again. And he smiled at me. So in other words, he's not going to give up a $300,000 a year job and say, hey, Rick, get out of here. We can't help you. No, it's not going to be stupid. But by telling me it was warm in Tijuana, he was saying to me, we're not going to help you. We don't think they'll help you. Crazy place.
Yeah.
But if you want to lay on the beach and sip tequila, knock yourself out. So that night at dinner, I mentioned it to everybody. My family's very demonstrative. That is where I learned the new swear words. They were furious with me, believing I was committing suicide.
From your
So I got
family.
to my father-in-law going around the table. My older brother, Sam Hill, if you're old enough to remember that expression. He said, Ricky, we always knew you were stupid. We just didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
And that was the compliment of the evening. Got to my father-in-law. He stands up and he said, I like it. I'm going to take him down there and I will help pay for it.
Okay.
And I said, deal. And 2 days later, I'm in Tijuana, Mexico.
Wow.
Now, that was the third thing that when you think about it, add them up, one day I get a crazy letter. I have a chemotherapist say something that made no sense. And my father-in-law likes it and says he'll put money into it. 3 things that are so unlikely. And I looked at that as a hand of God.
Mm-hmm.
I said, unless God's behind this, none of that would have happened to me. I'm not the kind of guy who has magical things happen to him all through his life. So I felt that the Lord was leading me to go there, even when it didn't make sense. Now, that isn't often you're faced with that choice. I got something really stupid to do, but I think God's behind it. Hasn't happened to me since. But I got down there and, I don't know if you've seen this picture. You probably did on the back of my book. But that's me in 1974. I was a Detroit greaser. The Fonz hairdo, the long leather jacket. And I get down there and the first place they send me is a health food store to buy food. And I'm saying to myself, who are these people? This is like hippie heaven in here.
Yeah.
Everybody's going, oh, wow, and feeling the food. And
far out, groovy.
Yeah, far out. And there's posters on the walls and Ravi Shankar music playing in the background. I think I'm the only one in the room wearing underwear. I mean, this is that crowd.
Hey, Sunshine's asking, how old were you when this first
24.
diagnosed? Okay.
And now I'm looking at this crowd going, hand of God? I don't blend. Well, let me tell your viewers, you don't have to blend. All you got to do is believe that maybe this is the right path for you. I didn't say 100%. And then be willing to do what they ask you to do. Now, those are two very simple concepts, but you'd be amazed.
Well, I guess you have to, like you said, take the leap of faith because you're believing God's gave you these three signs, if you want to call it. Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah. So now you have to take the leap of faith. So now you have to fall in and drink the Kool-Aid to go with it, the whole plan.
Yeah, and that was Dr. Contreras. I met with him the second day I was there, and he said, he examined me, and he just said, oh, Rick, none of this had to happen. That scar you've got that's that long, but too late for that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I said to him, yeah, sorry, I shut it off on my phone, but it sneaks into the computer.
That's okay. We're good. We're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Dr. Contreras said, here's what I want you to know. I need your help. I said, what do you need my help in? He said, because if you don't help me, you won't get well. I've got to have you cooperate with what we're doing, changing your diet, taking these pills, taking these shots, giving your life a whole different twist. And I know this is not what you're used to. So I'm asking you, get in all in or take your money and go back home.
Mm-hmm.
I said, man, I'm running into everybody wants to give me their opinion today. So I said, no, I'm all in. I'll stick around. My father-in-law helped pay for this. My church helped pay for it. I think God was in the direction for me to leave the Mayo Clinic. My family's not on board, but no news there. So I did. And I was only there 3 weeks, 21 days. And it was so simple. I took a couple of these every day in the arm, like the guy under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a push injection. That is B17 liquid in a little, you put the needle in the top, little gray rubber seal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I took 2 of those a day for 21 days. Then I took enzymes. And at this point, I want to offer your people a free book with a very short URL to find. It's called B17works.com. B like boy, 17, the number, works like plural job, WORKS.com. And if they will do that, I will email them without a credit card, no sale, a 300-page book called World Without Cancer, written by G. Edward Griffin. I'll do that right side up.
There we go.
And then
we'll definitely put that in the show notes as well.
Okay. And then I'll send you my book, which is Too Young to Die. Not a scholarly treatise, okay? But under 100 pages, but it'll give you hope. You'll put that book down and say, if that idiot can do it, anybody can do it. And I've been well for 51 years, never relapsed, never took a drop of chemo, never did radiation. But after 3 weeks of this program, I got up and I walked out of the place under my own steam, got on a jet back to I got bused to San Diego. Then I took a jet to Rochester, went back to the Mayo Clinic and said, I'm done. I'm done. Yours was not the answer for me. And they didn't like that. I avoided the chemotherapist because I owed him. But my own surgeon I met with, and he said, well, I just want you to know that the apparent recovery you've had could have had nothing to do with that trip you just took. And I said, Doc, you look like a bright guy, but looks can always be deceiving.
Yeah.
Because what you've taught me with that one statement is you're not even curious how I got well. He said, correct.
And he was given a death sentence at the beginning.
I said, what do you think happened to me? He said, I think he had what's called a natural remission. Went away all by itself. We don't know why. And I said, why didn't it go away all by itself when I was here?
Yeah.
I was here over a month and I believed in you. I was a bit skeptical about about Tijuana. Trust me on that one.
Yeah.
He said, well, we don't know, but it chose to go away on its own. I said, what you've told me is you're not a healer. You're a drug dealer. Because a healer would have said, I can't explain what happened to you, but I'll give you 15 minutes to sit down, tell me exactly what you did. I'll take notes, and then I'll research it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd
Let
like
me
to
learn.
have every patient turn out like you did. But it's not going to happen because science is on my side. I said, well, would you rather be scientifically correct or alive? And it's a binary choice here. Well, you can only pick one. He said, well, I choose to be scientifically correct. I said, that's a second lie you've told today. So I'll see you, Doc. I'm not having this conversation. I walked out. So yeah, the reason people have trouble believing me is because it is so simple. You're telling me you're taking an apricot extract that's non-toxic, that's cheap to buy. Then you're taking pancreatic enzymes that was discovered in 1902 in chapter 5 of this book I'll send you. Dr. John Beard cured a whole bunch of stage 4 cancer people with pancreatic enzymes. And I take a pill form of them every day, 4 of them. And I take them at 10 and 2. Can you tell I'm an old guy that can't remember when to take his stuff?
Oh, there you go.
Write it on the lid. Yeah. So I'm not spending much money. I'm using a natural product, which can't be patented. So there's no money in it for them. And I tell hundreds of thousands of people about this via my book, via speeches, by podcasts with good hosts. And only 1 out of 5 people listen to me, look at me, and say, I'm going to take chemotherapy and radiation. I'm going to skip that story. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
Only 1 out of 5 go, I think he might have a point.
May have something.
So, yeah, 20% is all I succeed. But that room full of my 20% is pretty doggone happy. And it's a pretty big room at this point. So
I would think if I had the death sentence like you had, given to you at the point, I'd want to look elsewhere too. Get the old second opinion thing. Again, it may not be the what everybody else would choose, but what everybody else is choosing, again, may not be the answer either. So
and today there's a lot more. You got ivermectin, Fenbin, mistletoe, soursop, a low dose chemo. It's more sophisticated. Integrative medicine is today than it was when there were only 3 clinics when I went down there.
Yeah.
It was Charlotte Gerson or Max Gerson. And then Oasis of Hope, where I went, Dr. Contreras, Oasis of Hope Hospital now. And then, isn't that something? I can't think, the herbal guy. Oh, well, there were only 3.
Yeah.
And I picked one of the 3 and went. So,
John Bentley, thank you for coming in. Hey, questions. Hey, can you take the pill even though you've been diagnosed with cancer?
You mean the B17 pill?
I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. He said pill because you talking about injection.
Yeah. The pills are kind of like charging hell with a squirt gun. great idea, but not quite enough firepower.
Yeah.
That's why you want to take either the injection or they got a new product now, which is a liposomal B17 liquid. That's the 2 month supply, like $300, inexpensive.
Yeah,
But
John, I understand you haven't been diagnosed with cancer. He just asking the question if
yeah,
been diagnosed, can you or do you take the pill? So
I would not start with the pill. I'd start with either the injectable or the proancelin liposomal. And then the pills I used for years and years, decades and decades as maintenance. I took
maintenance,
a couple, ate some seeds, took a couple of 100 milligram capsules now. Yeah. Not
preventative
much.
and maintenance, yeah. So,
Maintenance.
yeah, and I'm assuming during all this, also you'd have changed your diet.
Boy, you rescued that. Yeah, you bet. My diet was simple too, but not easy. Those are two different things.
Yeah,
You can have something simple that isn't easy. The simple part is 80% raw, all organic, get rid of the sugar, and do a little bit of fasting.
mm-hmm.
And simple, but not easy. The diet, you'd be shocked. Well, I told you, only 80% of the people choose not to do it.
Yeah,
And even the ones that choose to do it, do the diet for about 90 days and then they get bored. I've been eating a salad for so long. I don't want to keep eating it. I'm bored. I want to go get a pizza and a beer. And I say, if it took your life, would you still go get that pizza and beer? Now, one pizza and one beer is not going to take your life, but what if it would? Would you go get it? Well, no, not if one would kill me.
yeah.
I said, what if 5 would kill you? What if few years of eating that would kill you? See what I mean? I stayed with the diet. I did for 5 years. I was strict because I was so tired of being sick. I got down to 120 pounds. I'm like 160 now, and I'm not a big guy. But at 120, I look like a scarecrow.
Mm.
And I was on morphine because of the pain. So this was no ingrown toenail that I had to treat. This was terminal cancer.
Yeah.
And I stayed on that diet, boy. I did. And you have to come to Jesus meeting about this diet thing. Because Dr. Contreras said, if you don't want to do that, take your money you brought and go home. Because it's not going to work.
Well, again, yeah, you got to drink the Kool-Aid. You got to go all in with it. So,
Got it.
from there, forgot what I was going to say here. Oh, I was just giving a little example. You talk about going organic. That my service dog Ricardo, John, you remember my boy Ricardo? He was having ear infections for a long time, and I took him to his veterinarian. He kept giving pills, clean it up, and he kept coming back. 7 months later, he said, "Hey, I've done all I can. You need to get a second opinion." So we took him to another veterinarian, a younger one. His veterinarian was a little older, and as soon as I told him what was up, they said, "Oh, he's got a food allergy." And I said, "What?" "Yeah, food allergy." So they did a blood test and found that he was allergic to wheat, fish, corn, which there's all this stuff's in his food. But the
Yep.
main thing that got me noticing it said he's allergic to beef. And I go, there's no way he's allergic to beef. That's his main goal. If he was a wild dog out in the wild wilderness, he would to kill a cow and eat it. I said, there can't be that. Then I come to the conclusion it's all the toxic stuff that they put in that cow that he's allergic to, and we're eating it. So I've changed. I have done everything you have with the organic stuff, but I've changed what I eat and some things because of if he's allergic to it, it can't be good for us either. So
Well, like wheat, wheat probably, especially acorn wheat, but generally whole wheat is a good thing. But this stuff's been sprayed with Roundup so that the farmers don't have to get in there and weed all the time.
yeah,
They can enjoy life again, even though it's killing all of us. I'm so glad they enjoy life again. But
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they're fighting for it in Congress and everything else. And the other things he mentioned there, that veterinarian, keep that old boy, because he's or young guy, he's smart. He is on top of things. Well, yeah, diet. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's a big part of it. And also, I would do short-term fasting a couple of days a week. I actually went in for some colonics. Now, there's a day at the beach.
I can
I'm not going to
imagine.
tell you what.
I can imagine that one. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like an enema, but on steroids.
yeah,
High power. You almost have to wear a raincoat. So I left everything I knew, the way I lived, the way I thought, everything. And it all changed with a 10-cent stamped letter that
yeah, yeah,
said,
yeah.
you got to leave that Mayo Clinic if you want to live. So I'm here to offer your listeners hope. Now, if this story sounds crazy to you, okay. But you got to admit, I don't look like I'm dying anymore. And it's been 51 years. And yes, I had to stay on the things that they put me on in reduced amounts, low cost. But as a matter of choice, we walk into a grocery store, we shop the perimeter. That's where the fresh foods are. And usually we buy organic vegetables and fruit. And then we buy things like that don't have gluten in them, because Frankenwheat, that wheat has been so much chemical, herbicides, algicides, pesticides, Roundup, whatever else they can think to dump on it so they don't have to leave the, other things they're doing.
No, back in the day, we didn't have those cell phones back in '74. So were you communicating with your family back and forth and telling them how you're feeling, how things are working, or do you walk in and they go, "I'm looking at a dead man walking," you know?
Yeah, we did not have cell phones. They did not, there were no towers. Honestly, I was on a pretty short string, so a big expensive phone bill would not have
Hmm.
helped. No, none of them saw me till I got home, 20 pounds heavier, tan, feeling good. And they all just went, I don't know how you did that. And I said, do you want to know how I did it? Nope.
We're
I
just
mean,
glad you're here.
it's just astonishing to me. 80% of the people I talk to decide not for me.
I,
And I don't, and okay, I could be better, maybe at presenting or more, but no, I don't think I'm a lousy presenter. I don't really think it's got anything to do with me. I think their mind was made up
I think a
that,
lot of it is that way. That yeah, this is the way it's always been, and yeah, I think that is part of it. Yeah. So, um, well, no, I think you're presenting pretty good. Just coming out, telling the way it happened to you, and go from there. So, uh, I'm like I said, if I was given the is a death sentence, I don't know if I would do the chemo to feel bad just to live 6 more months. I think I would try something different just to see. Because if it's a death sentence, it's a death sentence anyway. So I've seen too many other people that just felt so bad and everything. And I've seen people benefit from it. Okay, don't get me wrong there, but I've seen just a friend of mine passed away last year, and he was doing chemo for a year and a half, and he was just always talking about how bad he felt, from it.
so Doc, tell me, I'm trying to notice your podcast uh, artwork. And so is that you in the wheelchair in the word perseverance?
That is not me personally, no. It
Okay.
just the
The idea of somebody in a
Yeah, I
chair.
found a image and I plotted it up there. I think I did pretty good with that.
Yeah, it looks nice.
So
So yeah, so many of our listeners have had trials, things that didn't go well, beat up when they were a kid, not told at a boy or at a girl very often, if at all. And so there is hope. I found it. I was willing to stop what I was doing wrong to get it. And full, like you say, all in. So that's my message for your people today, is that I don't think the C word is a death sentence. I think it's a modification sentence. You got to look at your life and decide, what do I need to change to make this work? And if they're willing to do that, then I think they got a real good chance of having however many years God has allotted them. I don't know that.
Mr. John said, hey, it's nothing to do with you. They believe science instead of being more curious about your approach. So
yeah. Well, thanks,
that's it.
Yeah.
So, and Sunshine being as positive as always over there. So know your good reason to grow your own and know what you're putting in your body. So
yeah, homegrown gardens are becoming
homegrown maters. So,
yeah, maters.
So
I lived in France for a while, and everyone had a garden in their front yard. Yeah, a little picket fence, and all the vegetables were out there, and just 90% of the people did it.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own garden.
I remember growing up 6, 7, 8 years old. My grandfather came in every spring, breaking the ground up and putting a garden in our backyard. And he worked it all summer. And here I am, 7 and 8 year old, wanted to be with him, but hating to doing the work. So, but to be with him, I went out there to be out there early in the morning. So, all right. Well, Rick, Bill, I'm glad you're came on today and gave an interesting and different way of look. And I'm glad it worked for you. And I hope other listeners at least look into it, whether they decide to do it or not, at least look into it, ask more questions. Again, all this stuff's on the end of research on the end of a tip of our fingertips with the old Google and with ChatGPT and everything else out there. So maybe they can get more interested and again learn more about it and then come up with a better decision they think's best for them. So
they want to get a hold of me, b17works.com. Send them a couple of free books.
And again, ideas. I'll put that in the show notes. Hey, you want to go ahead and give the rest of your you put your book up there once. Let me go back here.
Too Young to Die.
Let me pop it up on the screen here.
There it is.
Too Young to Die. Yep.
And Rick I'll give them a copy of World Without Cancer, which is a research book. It tells you what I did and why I did it. And they'll get this stuff and go, there's something to this. I mean, I better pay attention, especially since 1 out of every 2 men get a sentence of cancer today. The old Bill Gates project had some definite effect on that.
I haven't read up enough on it. I've just been hearing things lately on that. So, hey, you talking about the 1 and 2? Just 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. Again, I'm in a wheelchair, paralyzed, and I told my doctor. He said it's time to do a colonoscopy. I said I can't sit on a toilet the whole time. I'll get a sore sitting. Said, but I can't get on and off fast enough. And I said, what are we going to do? He said, well, let's do that Cologuard. Comes in the mail, take care of business, mail it back to him. And they came back and said I was positive for colon cancer. So then they did a different scan, CT, and it came back reaffirming something's going on. So I had 2 diagnoses of this. So they go in this time to get me cleaned out good so they can go in the camera, see what they can find, and then we're going to have surgery to remove that spot. They got in there, no cancer. So, no cancer. To me, a miracle in itself again. Somewhere God jumped in, okay? Because you can't tell me two different scientific things are independent of each other or correlating that something's wrong, and then there's nothing there. And
Yep,
so
that's
I had
your
a little
inciting
had a
incident.
little
Yep.
miracle on myself, or again, their test and everything was flawed at the beginning. So I'd rather look at it at miracle of God came to intervene with me.
So the immobility you have is due to the broken neck. Is that when that occurred?
Yes, spinal cord injury, yeah. So
Okay.
in a wheelchair, yeah.
Yep. Difficult to deal with. Really difficult. I had a brother-in-law, and he was injured in a heavy equipment accident, and from just changed his life completely, just completely.
Yes,
But
sir.
I give you a lot of credit. You're not taking it lying down. You're part of the solution, not the problem. Where all you got to do is watch one newscast at night. You want to see the people that are part of the problem?
Oh, I tell you, I try not to watch the news anymore. It just everything is so negative. And then I think Saturday, one thing does like a minute and a half or something. Good news for tonight in a minute and a half, but you spend the first 25 of everything going wrong. Sunshine, yes, they did find one polyp. That one polyp they found in there and said they went in and removed that. But that was it. And I need to go back for another one. They look at. They told me 5 to 10 years. I need to schedule my next one to be looked at. So
Yeah.
all right, Rick.
Well,
Hey, I
hey,
appreciate you being here. Yeah. Any other Instagram, social media? Do you want people to hop on to look you up?
the only one would be rncstore.com, and that they can legally buy what I took. And if they do, I'll give them a 10% discount if they want to write Rick 10 before they leave the order. I'll say, do you have a discount code? I hate that question because I never do. But this time you do. It's called Rick 10, unless you
Rick,
have your own code.
I don't have anything for it or
Okay.
anything like that. So
Rick 10
Rick
will save
10,
them 10% off the top.
I'll put that in the show notes as well. So
Yeah.
all right, Rick, John, Sunshine, thank you for coming in. Let's see. She would never forget. Oh, she said, yeah, Sunshine, when I was doing my student teaching, she was one of my students as a student teacher. And I'm so proud of her. She's grown up and become a mother, wife, and also she's a teacher. She said
Wow.
she would never forget James telling the class he would do anything wanted, swimming included. There you go. That's back in the day. Hey, thank you to Rick for saying about me, hanging in, not doing, getting out there trying to do a kid. We do what we say in the South. I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit. So, so all right, Rick. Hey, I appreciate you being here and I enjoy everything. Everybody else, again, be sure to consult your physician before you just jump in. Find out test the waters with them, research, and then make the best choice possible for you from there. Rick, hey, people are hurting and struggling today. If you can leave us with a positive message, that'd be a blessing.
Yep. I want to leave them with the message that the C word is not a sentence of death. Does not have to be. You need more information. And this show helped you in that direction. And it will offer hope. And I define hope as helping other people escape. You spend your life doing that, you've got a worthwhile life.
Hey, man, I like that acronym HOPE you use that for. So, all right. Rick, again, thank you for being here. Everybody else, share us out with someone else. John, Sunshine, thank you for being Sunshine. Just about 2 weeks ago, I talked to one of your old teachers. She called me up, Miss Helton. So she was my advisor as I was student teaching there, and she contacted me 2 weeks ago. All right, John, thank you again, John. But Rick, thank you. Everybody else, do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.